Hi, I'm Chris Raptus Real Estate. Welcome to episode 57. A little bit of a concerning video. And the reason that I say it's concerning is because the Fed has just dropped their rate by 0.025 basis points, which is good for America, but not good for Australia, because if you're seeing the news articles, which are absolute rubbish, they're saying that basically we're going to have a rate rise. So America has a rate drop, Jeremy Powell reduces the rates, and then we've got now Michelle wanting to up the rates. The banks have made enough money, right? It's just absolute crap. It's all carry on. You've got people like Elon Musk tweeting today that there's going to be a civil war in the UK. I mean, you've got people talking absolute rubbish about gold crashing. Gold has, hit an all-time high, and then you've got people going out there and saying that gold is crashing. Now, what most people don't understand is that gold is a $27 trillion asset. Now, just because it came down a little bit from its all-time high, which is absolutely normal, you've got your normies who have gone out there and bought gold, and then they've seen it go down, and they call it a panic. You've got to go into an asset class like that with size, right? So unfortunately what happens is that mums and dads, or young investors who are not savvy, lose some money, and not a lot of money when we're talking the percentiles that it's come down, and then it rumors are being said that the market's crashing. So do not believe the crap that the media is pushing in the agenda. It really disappoints me to see that the market will not take the news favorably. It means that saying that the economy is not in a good state, so risk on assets will be sold off. So I think we were somewhat promised of a rate drop by the end of this year, by Christmas, and now it's looking like a rate rise, right? So again, I don't believe any of the statistics, and when I say I don't believe any of the statistics, that's because it was tipped 97% for a rate drop, and there wasn't a rate drop. I just am extremely disappointed for the Australian people, for homeowners that are already struggling enough with, groceries and inflated, utilities, and the list goes on, right? So what we're seeing is we've seen a very good spring. A lot of properties being sold in the Adelaide real estate market. We just had a 0.9% growth last month, and Adelaide, as you may or may not be aware, is the second most expensive city in Australia. Now, I have had this conversation, over the last couple of weeks, and I've been sitting back and watching the marketplace. That's why you may not have seen as many videos from me over the last couple of weeks. And Adelaide just hasn't had that double-digit growth that Sydney and Melbourne have had. Right, and I've been pretty vocal about that in the last couple of videos. If you watch my last videos, you'll see, just how much you may have earned in your property over this year. We've had, about 7 good consecutive months of green, which means that the property market's been going up every month consistently, right? So, backed off low supply, backed off very low, under 1% vacancy rates for the rental market, so still very competitive. A lot of people are still competing for properties, and I've been extremely busy where I've been picking up quite a lot of business from other agents, especially property managers as well, where landlords are just sick and tired of property managers leaving the big firms because it's just too much work for them, right? And that they haven't, had the longevity, right? They've not ran a marathon. A lot of people that get into real estate, they sprint, they get tired, they can't finish the end, but it's a marathon, right? So that's where experience comes into play. For someone like myself that's been in property for 20 years, I've seen a lot. I can't say I've seen everything, but I'm sure I've seen a lot, and I'm sure a lot of real estate agents have seen a lot that have been in the game for 20 years, right? But no one can predict the market. Doesn't matter who you are, Warren Buffett, etc. My prediction, for what it's worth, and none of this is financial advice, do your own research. Either they will fuck around and, not do anything and keep the rates on hold and keep us in suspense, or they may just do what they're gonna do, and they're preempting us now with the media and put the rates up, which is it just baffles me, right? It just baffles me at these idiots that we've got wasting the taxpayers' money in these positions when, quite frankly, the rates should be on the floor, right? Property prices are going to continue to go up. We need the investment from investors. We need people to put their money into property, right? Because when property goes up, everything else follows suit, right? Your tradies, mortgages, it's the whole thing, right? It's the whole kit and caboodle with property. So when you're seeing and hearing people saying that property is going to crash by 40%, these were the same dickheads that were saying that shit during COVID, and we saw the opposite happen. So sometimes you've got to go against the grain. I do hope that, the rates don't go up. I think it's very bad for Australian families, individuals. It's very, very tough out there. If you got your money in the bank, which not a lot of Aussies do, it's good for you. But for those that don't have term deposits, that have mortgages, which is a lot of Australians at the moment, right? For those of us, and again, I don't cater for those that aren't in the market. My opinions aren't for everyone. I, as an agent, I'm not Woolies, I'm not Coles, I don't pretend to be. I have select clients that choose me, that listen to my advice. And for those that are watching, I'm giving you the best advice that I can. So when you engage in my services, whether it be selling or renting, residential or commercial, you're paying a professional, just like you're paying a good doctor or a good surgeon. Because when you get sick, what do you want to do? You want to try and find the best and the brightest in that field, because your health is very important. It's number one. So that's what I'll say to you today, is if you've got an asset, which I'm sure a lot of my viewers and followers, you do, make sure you're getting advice from a professional, someone that's been in the game for 20 years, at least 10 years is a minimum, I think. Now the new, 10 is the 20. And that being said, don't be getting your advice from someone at the Macca's checkout, right? And that's what a lot of people do. They go around dinner table and they talk, and they're literally getting advice from people that don't know what they're doing, don't know what they're talking about. And that's why I pick up so many properties over the years, is because people say to me, I'm frustrated. I've got a shit property manager, or I've got a selling agent that we're in a hot market, they can't sell my home. What's the deal, Chris? And then I'll get that phone call and I'll be able to analyze and say, well, look, this is my opinion. And what a lot of people, have said to me over the years is my brutal honesty. And that's why you see, all this bullshit about, these agents that, have sold all these homes and the top this and the top that. They're fucking broke. A lot of those people, as I've said to you in the last videos, don't even own their own homes. But again, what we're seeing a lot of independents swallow up, a lot of the bigger companies swallow up the independents because they're just not making money. A lot of property people are not making money. And the problem with that is that you're getting bad advice, right? You're getting advice from people that are broke, that don't have an asset. And unfortunately, they're playing God. They've got your heart in your hands, right? In their hands. And unfortunately, this is what paints real estate agents with a bad brush, because they get a bit of bad advice and then they become resentful, and then it's very hard for them to find a good property person because of that bad experience. So that being said, all of that aside, if you've watched the 57 videos now, you'll see the agendas that I've been pushing and a lot of that has been, go local, use, your family businesses. Don't go franchises, because the franchises, they send their franchise fees interstate, right? Use local, that's definitely been the agenda. I've always been pushing that interest rates are going to come down and the property market's going to be stimulated. If you watch my first videos, you'll see that, right? I've been saying this all year, and my predictions have been coming true. I've been giving you my other predictions with the property market. So I've been saying that a lot of properties are going to rent that have been bought. So we're seeing a lot more investors. I've been monitoring how much stock, and we had a very big flurry there around that August time. A lot of people put their properties on the market, at the start of spring or just before spring, and they were selling. There's been a lot of movement, between that 7 to 1.1. That sort of seems to be the sweet spot, which again, now the average sale price in Adelaide is 850,000. So if you've got, an average home in a good area and it presents well, it traditionally has been sold. So, a lot of properties, they've been sold effortlessly by real estate agents, right? Because the market is so hot and anyone can sell in a good market, right? That's just facts. Are you getting the best price for your property? Who knows? If you don't use the experience, you may not. You may get lucky and you may get a very good price, and and everyone starts somewhere. Absolutely. But if you want to protect yourself and give yourself the best chance, whether it's residential or commercial when it comes to property, use someone with experience. Again, I'm a business owner, so a lot of people will go with me because they know I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to say, yep, I give up after a year or two. I don't want to be a property manager, right? So I've had some clients that I've had with me for 15 years along the journey. I thank you for watching these videos. I thank you for supporting me. I'm humbled. I love the real estate market because it's been very good to me, and I'm very appreciative. So thank you. But on the flip side too, I've seen so much fuckery over the years, and it's just funny, what goes on in the property market. But I respect, anyone that has been in the game for a certain period of time. Not saying that they are good or bad, and not throwing shade on anyone, but just literally do what you got to do, get the best advice. That's why I love doing these videos, giving back to you. This one's a little bit longer than I expected, but anyway, let's sum it up on the 0.25 basis point drop. What that means, I do hope that we don't muck around and that the rates do drop. We had some unemployment figures there which weren't very favorable in my last video, so I imagine they may use that as a catalyst to not reduce the rates, which is shocking because we're only 2 months away from Christmas, and it's not what Australian families needed to hear. So it'll be extremely disappointing. I'll be very disappointed if the RBA does do what it looks like it's going to do and raise the rates. It just baffles me that they would stifle the property market like this and hurt families in their hip pocket when we need to continue to stimulate the economy, right? And that's my opinion. I think that, and the reason I say that is because we need people to keep borrowing at low rates. At 6s and 7s, it's ridiculous. And the reason that I say it's ridiculous is because in the United States of America, you can lock in your rate for 30 years. And we don't have that luxury here in Australia, right? And that's the problem. So, if we had lower rates and people were able to lock in those rates, for a long period of time, I think it would really help families, but we don't do that here. And I think that's where the problem lies, especially when, a lot of borrowers are on interest only and they're on variable. So they really, really rely on that interest rate. And when they're working out their budgets, they just don't know how much is it going to cost me this month? What's next month going to be? So, it just puts a lot of pressure on families when there's already a lot of pressure. And that being said, I would like to see the rates drop. I still believe asset prices will continue to rise as migration is still at the tip of everyone's tongue, and people are migrating to Australia. It just purely means that, as properties are going to be a scarce product, asset prices are going to continue to go up. So unfortunately, whether you like it or not, I believe property is going to continue to go up. It's a very good time to sell. I've got an auction at Blakeview 121 Main Terrace X Statesman Home Display Home that's going to auction on the 29th of November at 12 o'clock. I've got some commercial leases on Port Road, baby shop for 63 square meters. That's around that 33,000 mark per annum. Great, business opportunity for someone. And then we've got a much larger space at 140 Port Road. This is right next to the entertainment centre behind Cooper's Stadium. And that's 500 square meters of space. That's over $100,000 for that lease. So it is a lot of space. It's retail, and we've got shop front and windows on Port Road. So we've got about 40,000 people, cars that travel up and down Port Road every day. So it's a good opportunity for a larger business to come in and stamp their way in Hindmarsh, which is a great suburb, and we're going to see the inner suburbs do really well. I believe I saw in the news the other day that Queensland's going to have the world's tallest, Australia's tallest skyscraper. It's great to see them developing Brisbane. That's why you're seeing Brisbane be such a hot place for investors at the moment. Not just because the weather's beautiful, and I'm very biased. I love Queensland. It's a great part of the world. Awesome part of the world. And that being said, Adelaide will follow suit at some point. We are seeing, more and more residential towers come up to accommodate for, the increase in population. So, if they keep building, people keep coming. As the saying goes, build it and they will come. And that's what's going to continue to drive asset prices up in Adelaide. So, yes, it is unfortunate that we are the second, most unaffordable city in Australia. And I believe we're in the top 20, top 10 of the world. What's just happened is that, the government's spending a lot of money here with the infrastructure and the upgrades. And Adelaide has not had that growth like the rest of the world. So finally people are waking up, seeing how great Adelaide is. It's a beautiful city with so much potential. And that's why I say be happy that the assets in Adelaide have gone up. Yes, it's not good from an affordability point of view, but for those that were smart, that bought property, held on to their properties and weren't shaken out of their positions, have done very well. So kudos to you. That being said, let's wrap it up. 6 o'clock in the morning. I've got to go do some work. I'm sure you're going to have a great day. Melbourne Cup. Who knows who's going to be a winner? There's some exciting times ahead. The weather's great in Adelaide, and it's awesome to just go out there and do opens, put the signboards out, meet people, smile, greet, and open up properties in such a beautiful part of the world. And the weather now, people are going to be much happier in Adelaide. So thank God for that. Take care. See you in the next one. Bye for now.